You know the feeling. You're deep in your work, things are going great, and then suddenly, a mysterious error brings everything to a screeching halt. It's frustrating, right? But what if you could turn that moment of frustration into a powerful contribution? Well, today we're going to dive into the art of writing the perfect bug report.
So you're in the zone, the code is flowing, and then, bam, crash. A cryptic error message flashes on your screen, and your first thought is probably, "The library's broken, I found a bug." We've all been there. It's a totally universal feeling for any developer. But believe it or not, that's just the starting point of our story.
Because here's the key. We need to reframe that moment. A really well-written issue report isn't just a complaint or a cry for help. Think of it as a collaborative tool. It's like you're handing the maintainers a perfectly wrapped gift that helps them fix the problem for everyone, and fix it fast. Okay, but before you rush over to GitHub to file that issue, hold on. There's a super crucial first step. We have to be reasonably sure the problem isn't actually hiding in our own code. So how do we figure that out without spinning our wheels for hours? Your first stop should always be the community forums. Seriously, the forums are your best friend. This is where the whole community, and often the library's team, hangs out. You can post your problem, see if maybe someone else has already solved it, and get some feedback. It's the fastest way to figure out if the issue is with your code or the library itself. All right, so you've checked the forums, and it seems like you really have found a bug. Now comes the single most important part of your entire report. I mean it. If you want a quick fix, you have to give the maintainers something they can actually run to see the problem for themselves.
And that brings us to this idea of a minimal, reproducible example. Think of it like a perfect, tiny little package. It's a small, self-contained piece of code that triggers the bug and does nothing else. No external files, no secret API keys, and definitely no private data.
So how do you make one? It's basically a three-step process. First, you isolate the problem. Just start ripping out everything that isn't absolutely necessary. Second, swap out your real data for simple, dummy values that still cause the error. And finally, go minimal. I mean, keep cutting lines of code until it is the absolute bare-bones essence of the problem. And if you're wondering why this is such a big deal, just read this quote. So many issues just sit there, unsolved, because the maintainers can't get to the data to reproduce them. They aren't magicians, you know? If they can't run your code, they can't see the bug. And if they can't see it, there's no way they can fix it.
So, you've got your perfect little reproducible example. Awesome. Now it's time to actually file the issue. You'll notice that most projects have an issue template. Don't ignore it. It's there for a really good reason. It's a checklist to make sure you give them all the critical info right from the get-go.
Now, describing your environment can feel a little tedious, but some libraries make it incredibly simple. With transformers, for example, it's just one command. You pop open your terminal, run transformers CLI environ, and it automatically gathers all the system and version info the maintainers could ever want. And this is what it spits out. It gives them your OS, your Python version, and the exact versions of all the key libraries. For a maintainer, this stuff is absolute gold. It lets them instantly rule out any version conflicts or weird environment-specific problems.
Here's another pro tip. Formatting really matters. Just look at the difference here. On the left, you got this messy wall of text that's a nightmare to read. But on the right, clean, beautiful, formatted code and error blocks, all thanks to those simple triple backticks. This tiny bit of effort makes your issue 100 times easier to understand.
And one last thing to make your report complete, you've got to close the loop. Don't just show what went wrong. You have to clearly state what you expected to happen. This gives the maintainer the full picture so they can really understand the problem from your perspective. Okay, we've totally nailed the technical side of the report, but that's only half the battle. Now let's talk about the human element, because at the end of the day, open source is all about people, and how you communicate can make all the difference. When it comes to tagging people with the @ symbol, just remember this number, 3. That's the absolute max. See, every time you tag someone, they get a notification, so you want to use that power sparingly. Maybe tag the person who last touched that part of the code, but whatever you do, don't tag a huge crowd. And above all, just be courteous. It's so important to remember that you are often talking to volunteers, people giving up their free time to help. Sure, constructive criticism is fine, but your tone matters. A little bit of kindness and patience goes a very long way. So you did it. You've submitted a clear, concise, courteous, and reproducible bug report. You hit that submit button, and then what? Well, now comes the waiting game. First, just give it a quick once-over to make sure all the formatting looks good.
Then, and this is the hard part, resist the urge to start pinging people if you don't get an answer right away. If a week goes by with radio silence, maybe take another look. Could you make your example even clearer? A gentle follow-up is okay, especially if you have new information to add.
And that really brings us to the main takeaway here. When you file a thoughtful, well-researched bug report, you're not just asking for help. You're actively participating. You are, in a very real way, contributing to the project by helping to identify and isolate a problem that makes the software better for everyone.
So the next time your code crashes, you get to ask yourself this question. Is this report going to be a frustrating puzzle for a maintainer to solve, or is it going to be a clear, helpful, collaborative solution that makes the whole project better? The choice is totally yours.